Taylor Swift decided to spank Martin Scorsese.
Ooh.
That's right. It's blowing up all over the internet. No. So Taylor Swift's Eras Tour concert, of course, already had its opening weekend, made close to $100 million. And we were going to see what kind of a drop-off it had. I thought it would have kind of a significant drop-off. And it had a decent-sized drop-off, a little over 60%, but not terrible drop-off. And it finished number one in movie theaters at the box office over the brand new Martin Scorsese film, Killers of the Flower Moon. And it's kind of stark when you take a look at this info. Check this out. So the Taylor Swift concert movie made $31 million this weekend on a production. Remember, this was its second weekend, not its opening weekend. This is its second weekend. On a $15 million budget, Killers of the Flower Moon made $23 million on opening weekend on a $200 million budget. So obviously the Martin Scorsese film Killers of the Flower Moon has a little bit of work to do to get there. Rob, I don't think anybody expected Killers of the Flower Moon to come out at number one this weekend. They said the projections were going to be between $20 and $25 million, and that's exactly where it came in. But this is a $200 million movie with Martin Scorsese, Academy Award winner, Hall of Fame first balloter, maybe, Mount Rushmore of all-time directors. Robert De Niro, one of the all-time greats. Leonardo DiCaprio, who by the time he retires in 40 years will probably be considered one of the all-time greats. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. Signing your life away to a big wireless provider is kind of like being trapped on a roller coaster from hell. Sure, it looks like fun at first. They probably even threw in a free phone, but now you can't get off. Month after month of insane bills and unexpected thrills, like overages and surprise fees. If that sounds like your current big wireless plan, it's time to get off the ride with Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are just $15 a month. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for just $15 a month. You guys know before I came to Mint Mobile, I was paying triple what I am paying now on the standard big wireless plan, and I will never go back. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. To get your new unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped right to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. Why do you think that the Taylor Swift Eras Tour concert in its second weekend was able to top Killers of the Flower Moon in its opening weekend? How do you see it?
Well, one, it can have twice as many showings.
Yeah,
even though, for the weekend, that's part of it. But remember, this was still a very big opening for Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio, if you go back and you look at their previous outings together. Again, a 3.5-hour movie, adult audience. I was surprised, actually, at how much money it did make. And I read a really interesting article, John, about how the economics of this movie, Apple considers this basically all a marketing expense. All $200 million.
TV Plus later.
Yeah, and also because they see it as this is something that for them, they can market it across all of their platforms, phones, tablets, computers, everything. So by making something like this, the economics behind what they're spending and what they get back as a company is very different than what a studio gets back. And what I find really interesting, too, about this story is that, Taylor Swift, and we don't know the actual numbers yet, but Taylor Swift went to AMC, her people went to AMC, and they have a direct deal with their distributor.
Yeah.
And so I bet her cut is pretty lucrative. So not just the fact that this movie's doing well at the box office based on the budget of the movie itself, but their split has to be far more lucrative than a studio split. So I would say for Taylor Swift, good on her, because, her business acumen and her people's business acumen is second to none. But as far as this film is concerned, look, I think I love that Apple allowed Scorsese and DiCaprio to make the movie they wanted to make in the length of time that it is. And for an adult film opening in October, we'll see where it goes in its second weekend, but it's not a bad thing. It's not Oppenheimer, but it's not bad.
I don't know if it's not bad. I mean, like, I get the Apple TV part. I mean, you and I have been saying for a couple of years, hey, listen, streamers, you want your movie to blow up on your streaming service? Put it in theaters first. Obviously, Apple believes in that. They committed $2 billion a year recently to doing theatrical release films. But take all that out of it for a second. And if we get down just to the bare bones of the movie making business, a movie that costs $200 million to make with Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Robert De Niro, it doesn't matter they came in second place to Taylor Swift. That's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It made $23 million on its opening weekend. If this were a DC movie, if this were a Marvel movie, if this were a Star Wars movie, if this were a Harry Potter movie, if this were a Fast and the Furious movie, if this were any movie that cost $200 million to make, and it made $23 million opening weekend, we would all be starting the post-mortem on it. We'd all be like, what went wrong? Like, why did nobody go to see this movie? And you kind of alluded to it a little bit too, because the problem with this Martin Scorsese movie compared to some of his other ones is this one doesn't have a lot of rewatchability, particularly because of the runtime. Like when you're breathing over 3.5 hours, that's going to be tough, limited screenings. I don't know that people are going to rush out to sit down in theaters for close to 4 hours when you take in trailers to watch the whole movie again. And again, I understand Apple has a wider look at this thing. They're looking at a bigger picture, but I think even Apple has to be looking at this and saying, how did a $200 million movie, the Martin Scorsese, only make $23 million? Do you think it can generate, like I have some skepticism whether it can have legs. Do you think this thing can have legs theatrically?
No. I mean, I honestly, I think that worldwide, if it makes $100 million or $150 million, fine. I mean, but the normal, I would just have to stress, the normal economics don't apply to this film. And another thing, if they were really worried about who releases a 3.5-hour movie and expects it to do banger business at the box office, because you can't even schedule, you're not even losing one screening a day. You're losing 2 or 3 at that length. Because you're talking about between time to come into the theater, clean it up, and get it running again, you can only get, 2 or 3 screenings at most, as opposed to 5 or 6. So,
but we're not talking about it not being a banger. We're talking about it flopping.
Right.
Because there have been movies that have cost less than $200 million that have made $60 million opening weekend, and we've declared the
right. But I don't
flop.
think that this movie it would not have even been possible to make that much money because of the running time. They would have had to put it in 6,000 screens,
right,
to even just the amount of time, just the amount of tickets sold, because there's. I mean, you're talking 7 hours, and that's just 7 hours of runtime in a day. That doesn't even include cleaning the theaters, so that's probably...
Cleaning the theaters, pre-show, trailer runs, all that.
I mean, 4 hours at a pop, with
minimum.
those...
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you've got how many... You'd have to put it in 3 times the screens. And if you did, though, it might have made $60 million or $70 million.
Well, as we sit around and wait for Martin Scorsese to put out a statement as to why Taylor Swift's concert movie is not cinema. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.